Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Heritage. And today we are visiting the single most important city that you probably have never heard about, and that is the city of Greenwich, or Maritime Greenwich. And the reason why this city is so important is because literally all of our time zones are based upon this area.
That's right. The British Empire has been controlling you your entire life, and you didn't even know it.
It's
Time
so
itself
frustrating.
has been colonized by the English.
God damn
Uh,
it.
so the yeah. So the history of this site, which was inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, pretty late actually for what it is. It only got on the charter in our lifetime, 1997. There.
Yeah, wow. And you just
Um,
dated us. We're old.
yeah. Not only just so it's a collection of buildings in Greenwich, which is an outlying district of London that are felt to symbolize the scientific efforts of the 17th and 18th century to basically create effective clocks that didn't lose time on naval voyages or vessels, and effectively unified the British Navy and the British mainland to all be on one time at all times, because that was a major defect in a lot of timepieces. Uh,
AKA Greenwich Mean Time.
yeah. At which point, in order to achieve this balance, they managed to set the time in the effort to have the sun set at about the same time at every parallel along the world. So depend. As you move, parallel to the equator, the sun will set at the same time, no matter what. Is kind of the effort that they wanted to have here, and it, for the most part, works. Politics got in the way and like shrunk and expanded certain zones, but for the most part, they made all the time zones here. This is where they invented them.
Yeah, and it's why, if you ever notice specific time zones, I mean, we're in Central, which is like -6 or -5 normally, which means we're 5 or 6 hours behind London. Just the fact that time zones were colonized by the British is frustrating. But the whole reason why it's called Greenwich Mean Time and where it's located is actually where the Royal Observatory is, and where it was founded in 1675. So
Yeah,
it's based upon where the location of the observatory is, because you're tracking where the sun is setting, where the stars are rising. It all ties in. We've always used the moon and the stars and the sun to track time.
yeah. And a fun fact for anyone who is also in Central Time with us: Central Time actually changes its Greenwich relative designation with daylight savings. In the winter, we are designated GMT 6, meaning we are 6 hours behind them. But in the summers, we are designated GMT 5, which means we're only 5 hours back. Because Greenwich Mean Time does not change.
But we do, we
But
travel.
yeah, but Central changes from Central Standard to Central Daylight, uh, which just serves to add more confusion to basing everything relative to this one town in England.
But
Ah,
that's why this becomes a very important place, but also part of the reason it was inscribed on UNESCO was because of the architecture and because of the design. I mean, you look at the actual Royal Observatory with their red brown brick, and it truly is a work of art. And in some miracle, I don't know how they captured this, but there was snow on the ground in the UK where the observatory is.
yep, and it's pretty far south in the UK. It's in the southern part of England.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, this isn't Greenwich is not located up in the Scottish Highlands where you can expect that kind of weather on a more regular basis. Yes, it snows in Scotland more than it snows in England, Justin.
No, I knew that.
Yeah, yes, it does.
I'm a cold
Yes,
weathered father.
yep. I saw that look. I'm like, yes, it does. Don't doubt me.
I'm
I'm
not
a
doubting at all. You just take that
yeah.
to blame.
Let me
But
take offense. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But yeah, the part of the reason the site is historic and is important culturally is because of its location and because of the time zones and the observatory aspect. But we look at at the design, at the architecture. It's stunning. It's got the cultural tie. So I mean, that's part of the reason. But what other reasons is it inscribed? I mean, they surely tell us
Yeah, yeah,
the
that's well,
criterion. There's four criterion.
yeah. There's four criterion, and basically, the criterion get divided up between the work of Inigo Jones and Christopher Wren,
Isn't that Inigo Montoya?
uh, yeah, who basically they designed or inspired or built most of the buildings that now comprise the uh, UNESCO World Heritage Site. The other criterion belong to the work that was done once those buildings were built by Robert Hooke and John Flamsteed, who, John Flamsteed is the most English name I've ever heard. Um, who was the first astronomer royal, and their work in the observatory here, charting out the time zones and making that something that exists in the world.
And it's
Because
also
that's what makes men.
not only that, but it's also the origin of the latitude and longitude system as well. Ties
Yep.
into the time zones, but also is the basis of our latitude and longitude. So when you're sailing the high seas in the British Empire, you got the observatory as your baseline.
Yeah, there is something on maps that probably came up in like your geography class that never came up again because most people day to day don't need to know it, and that is what is known as a prime meridian. It's a line that goes down the globe that is considered the 0 point for the measuring of degrees around the globe. The prime meridian is also known as the Greenwich meridian because it's defined as being a line drawn right through that observatory here at Greenwich, where they were observing the stars from. So it's all relative to the exact position of that um, observatory. So, it's really good that we base this on something that isn't going to be moved by plate tectonics.
Just the thing that aggravates me and frustrates me on a core level is the fact that not only is map making and cartography based entirely upon a system derived by the British, but the fact that our time zones are also based upon that.
Yes, they have conquered time and space. Welcome to the Twilight Zone.
God, that's enough for me to just end this episode, I think.
Might as well. We might as well. Justin has passed into a realm of thought and mind.
Just blame the British Empire. They've colonized my mind. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.